और लगातार आप देख सकते हैं कि इसी का जो ऑफिस है वो बंद कर दिया गया है। उन लोगों को इस जगह से बाहर जाने नहीं दिया जा रहा है, पर ये लोग सब यहाँ पे आए हैं। What are the problems you are facing?
There are many problems. The problem of server, there is the problem of BLOF and other problems. But the main problem is that we have been reported from different parts of Bengal, especially from the border areas. The BLOs who are working, they have reported to us. They are telling us that they have got some suspected enumeration forms, but they don't dare to tell locally because there is the threat of the ruling party. There is the threat of the BLAs who are appointed by the political parties, mainly from the ruling party. We have been reported they are trying to incorporate the fake voters. Till now, we have been seeing that some persons are going across the border. They are going out of this West Bengal, but there are many persons. There are a huge number of persons who are still in Bengal, who are fake voters and infiltrators. We suspect. So we have advised the BLOs to write suspected voter on the enumeration form.
Now, leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi claims at least 16 BLOs have died in the last 3 weeks. The EC so far has not countered that claim, but here are some of the instances that have triggered this storm. There are one or two instances where either family members or suicide notes have alleged that there was extreme work pressure. In West Bengal, for example, in Nadia district, Rinku Tarafdar committed suicide because of alleged unbearable SIR workload. She left a note behind blaming the Election Commission for inhuman pressure. In Jalpaiguri district, Shanti Muni Ekka, who is an Anganwadi worker, died by suicide under heavy workload pressure. She was a school employee. There was the next case which happened in Kannur in Kerala, where a school employee in Kannur again committed suicide. His family have been blaming the extreme mental stress from SIR duties. His name is Anish George, including late night work till 2 a.m. as the family claims. Mukesh Jangid, a school teacher in Jaipur, reportedly jumped off in front of a train. His suicide note too mentioned harassment and pressure to meet SIR targets. Even in Gujarat, a teacher reportedly committed suicide and cited exhaustion and inability to cope with the SIR workload. Arvind Vadher. But the question is, who exactly is responsible for these deaths? Now, this is where it gets political between the Congress and the BJP. A large chunk of the opposition is opposed to the SIR exercise. The BJP and the Election Commission have been saying this is routine. It happened in 2002, 2003. It needs to happen again because otherwise, how does one maintain the purity of our electoral rolls? The Congress alleges that its BLOs are being pushed to the brink, even driven to suicide because of extreme workload. According to the Congress, the system has become unbearable with officers collapsing under relentless demands. The BJP has hit back by claiming that district magistrates, DMs, are the ones who are exerting pressure, allegedly asking BLOs to share official OTPs that are used for voter verification. Congress has further accused the government of treating these deaths as mere collateral damage, sacrifices that are dismissed instead of being investigated. The BJP has countered sharply, saying that the opposition is attempting to misuse this entire BLO issue, the app around the BLO issue, and manipulate voter rolls. Congress and other opposition parties allege that the special intensive revision is a sacrifice of democracy designed to protect those in power. The BJP has dismissed those as political drama, saying that the opposition is simply trying to shield illegal voters and keep fake names on the rolls. They also cite the example of what happened in Bihar, where despite the SIR exercise, an overwhelming number of people came out and voted. In fact, it was one of the highest voter turnouts in Bihar seen certainly in the last 20 or 30 years. And a large participation of the electorate ensured also a large mandate for the NDA. Let's listen into some political reactions and then we'll open this up to our guests.
बंगाल में ममता बनर्जी उसको प्रोटेस्ट कर रहा है, भाजपा का, इलेक्शन कमीशन का ये जो पॉलिटिक्स चल रहा है, और पूरा देश में ममता जी ही पहला लीडर जो ऐसे कंस्पिरेसी पर अंगुल उठाई।
एसआईआर का जरूरत है, एसआईआर होगा और ममता बनर्जी हारने वाली है।
All right, I've got a piece of breaking news on Bengal and this SIR exercise there. According to Election Commission sources, about 10 lakh voters have been removed from the voter list in Bengal so far. The data from the initial distribution and collection of forms has indicated that around 6 lakh entries are those who are voters who have passed away, who are deceased voters. So 6 out of 10 voters happen to be deceased voters. So 3/5 so far at least. 6 lakh out of 10 lakh voters whose names have been removed. I want to go across to Kamalika Sengupta. Has more details on this. We will try and go across to her as well. So remember, if you were to look at a comparable example in Bihar, out of the 65 lakh voters whose names were removed from the list, almost half of it, almost 50% of it, were those people who had died. Here it seems to be slightly more than that. 6 out of 10 lakh voters are those who are deceased. 10 lakh is the number who's been deleted so far. I suspect that that number will increase manifold by the time the enumeration phase gets over, which is by the 4th of December. I want to go across to Kamalika, who has more details on this. So, Kamalika, the preliminary entries from the Election Commission seem to suggest 10 lakh wrong entries. 6 lakh out of those 10 lakh happen to be voters who have passed away. What more can you tell us?
Yes, absolutely. From the sources in EC, what we are getting is that right now the enumeration distribution process is almost over. Now the collection process is almost nearing to the end. So till now, approximately they have seen that this a little more than 6 lakh voters enumeration form has not come back as signed, because they are dead voters. So this is one thing which this number is coming, approximately this number is coming. And along with that, 4 lakh are those people whose names have been either shifted, or there is no building, or there is nobody remaining in that address, no phone calls have come. So this is when the final voter roll will be published, that's on the 9th. This is going to be one of the bases. Till now, this is the approximate preliminary data which the Election Commission has got, that near about 10 lakh is what is till now, near about 10 lakh voters' names will be deleted when the final list comes out.
Remember, in Bihar, 65 lakh voters' names were deleted. Again, a large number of them were either deceased or had moved permanently out of the state. I suspect in Bengal that number will be comparable, if not more. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Kamalika, for joining us. I want to open this up quickly to our political guests who are joining us. Shazia Ilmi, National Spokesperson of the BJP. Mahima Singh, Spokesperson of the Congress, joining us. Shazia Ilmi, you heard from my colleague a moment ago, 10 lakh voters preliminarily being removed in Bengal. 6 out of those 10 lakh are those who have died. But the Congress has been alleging, the TMC has been alleging, they are looking at the instances of these BLOs. Rahul Gandhi tweeted yesterday saying 16 BLOs have committed suicide ever since this SIR exercise started. What do you have to say to that?
I mean, it's really something to worry about. And you wonder why this has been happening. Why are some BLOs being attacked? What kind of threat are they facing? What exactly is going on over there? So that's one thing. But I would also like to ask Rahul Gandhi that he's tried this time and time again. First, it was about EVMs. Then it was about all the institutions working against him and what have you. Now this entire thing of vote chori, which didn't cut any ice. And also the Congress government, Congress party senior leader, Congress's senior leader, Shakil Ahmed's insistence and, his later resignation over the fact that this entire thing of vote chori did not count, did not matter, did not cut any ice. 65 lakh voters, 63 lakh voters, apparently the whole story was that their names have been struck off, but not even 65 showed up. So is TMC government really counting on infiltrators whose names TMC feels will be struck off? Because if they're really looking at genuine voters, Indian voters voting in India, in West Bengal and Indian state, they should worry about it. If SIR is going on, which will ensure there is verification, cross-data checks and what have you, what's wrong with that?
Okay. So, Mahima Singh of the Congress, I mean, we just have the recent Bihar example. I cited this data point earlier in the program as well. 101 seats where the maximum number of voter deletions happened in Bihar. And the Congress party barely won 2 out of those 101. The Gathbandhan itself won only about 20 or so. The rest went to the NDA, indicating that the SIR was not an issue at all as far as the people of Bihar were concerned. Here again in Bengal or in Tamil Nadu, you're making it out to be a big issue. Some of these suicides you're conflating to SIR work pressure. Not all of them have specifically said that this is because of SIR work pressure. And the larger point the BJP is asking is, This is a repeated exercise that has happened 8 times since independence, including when the UPA was in power last in 2003-4. So what is the big deal? Shouldn't our electoral rolls be cleaned up?
Jai Hind. Zaka, the duo of the BJP and the Election Commission of India, who's scratching each other's back, must answer a very critical questions. How many infiltrators were found out in Bihar? So many deletions were made, 65, 70 lakh deletions were made. How many of those were infiltrators? Hardly in single digits, you can count on one hand. Whereas the BJP fails to answer this question every time we ask them that in their last 11 years, this regime, and the third time they are in power, how many illegal immigrants have they sent back? Have they deported? We deported 90,000, and they have on record mentioned only 2,500. So the BJP and ECI must come clean, especially when S.Y. Qureshi, a former CEC, has claimed that ECI has made itself into a laughing stock, and Parakala Prabhakar, a former spokesperson of the BJP and revered husband of our respected finance minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, has come out and proclaimed that the BJP now, after Mahila Morcha and Yuva Morcha, has a something called Election Morcha. You know, these
but ma'am, can I ask you? We just had, out of the 7.42 crore people of Bihar, 67%, 68% went and voted. And they voted decisively in one of the most politically aware states in this country, where SIR seemingly was not an issue at all to the people who voted.
So you think, Zaka, we never said that SIR is an election issue. SIR is an electoral issue. It is an issue of manipulation of the whole electoral machinery. That's what we've been claiming. So long we have been claiming, but there has been, not even a single eyebrow has been raised at the ECI. That is what bothers us, especially when a state like Bihar has been put through that intensive engineering of elections. Now West Bengal.
But what is the evidence to show that is what helped the BJP or the NDA win? There is simply no evidence to show that. That's a jumping of conclusions that you're doing.
Zaka, do you remember Ajit Anjum's video report and how the BJP supporters rushed to file an FIR against that video footage? That video footage, Ajit Anjum tweeted on his account or put out on YouTube that it is still available. Please come out and investigate how the BLOs were being forced to manipulate the electoral rolls and data available at hand with them. Of course, you're saying that this exercise has been done 8 times since independence. I object, and I say I would like to correct it there. Because it's not SIR, it was intensive revision. SIR is a BJP ECI duo manufacturing phenomenon.
Shazia Elmi, the question that the Congress is asking, what is the hurry? In over 1 month, you're going to enumerate over 12 states and union territories. The last time this happened, it was over a period of 6 months. Whereas in 2025, it's over a period of 1 month. UP, for example, goes to polls in February of 2027. Why does the SIR have to happen in UP today? Rajasthan is going to polls end of 2028. Why is SIR happening in Rajasthan today?
I think this is a question you need to ask the Election Commission. And I think last time around this question was asked of the CEC as to why a particular date and timeline was chosen before the Bihar elections. And I think he gave a reasonable answer, and he said it would have happened only twice or thrice in a year, and it would have been too late, and this is the only time it was possible. So I cannot speak for Election Commission. All I can tell you that it is a constitutionally mandated process. It's not happening for the first time. Just because Congress just keeps losing elections, has nothing much to gain from anywhere, they can't keep the story going. Even there itself in Bihar, even Tejasvi finally gave up on it and decided not to go forth and on with the vote chori bit. Now, my friend here from the Congress party is slightly confused. The 65 lakh voter deletions that we were talking about were not that of the infiltrators. Nobody even claimed that. They were of those people who apparently had duplicate votes, or who had transferred, who had been deceased, and so on and so forth. We're not saying that those were the infiltrators, one. And because our friend here feels so concerned, and she's right when she says that we threw out so many infiltrators. Our record is so good. then she should welcome SIR, because this will ensure that the process they started will be carried out with more alacrity.
No,
and,
but Shazia, what do you say?
responsiveness.
What do you
And
say to
actually
these
we can find-
instances that the opposition is citing of Rinku Tarafdar in Nadia in West Bengal, of Shanti Munieka in Jalpaiguri in West Bengal, Anish George in Kannur in Kerala? These are all BLOs who have allegedly committed suicide because they couldn't bear the workload and the stress emanating from SIR work.
I mean, don't you think the Mamata Banerjee should answer this? What kind of harassment is going on? What is going on in West Bengal? We know how violent the state is. We know what's happened to families and of women who did not vote for TMC. So that's a very serious question, and I think Mamata Banerjee has a lot to answer
No,
for.
she's saying that EC and BJP have put pressure on these BLOs, giving them unrealistic targets to meet. That's what she's saying. And that's why they couldn't meet those targets. That's why they're committing suicide.
Tell me, how come BLOs nowhere else have committed suicide except for one other matter in another state? What is happening in West Bengal? Is offense the best form of defense? And also, she's made some fresh charges. I mean, she wants a particular institute, Bengal Sanstha Academy, to carry this on. I mean, I was just reading about it and learning more. I mean, why would you want a pre-existing organization with its own biases or prejudice, what have you, to be doing this kind of work? And BLOs are not the only officials who actually do this work, and the kind of work and the function that they have is the same as anywhere else.
But Maima saying,
the Anganwadis.
you know,
No,
the
my question is,
BJP has made a complaint to the EC officially where they are saying that it's district magistrates who are forcing the BLOs to hand over official OTPs. The OTPs are being asked to be handed over to TMC-controlled operators. The attempt is to misuse the BLOs and the BLO application and dilute the electoral rolls. The ultimate goal is to shield illegals. So their claim is the BLOs are being put under pressure by district magistrates and local TMC workers there, and that's why some of these BLOs have been pushed to commit suicide.
Now, Zaka, going by the BJP's logic, redundant logic rather, I would say, shall we also accuse the BJP of being desperate to win an election in West Bengal, and that is why they keep on accusing Mamata Banerjee election after election because they have failed to win an election there? Now, the BJP spokesperson has raised two questions. She said that 65 lakh deletions were not those of infiltrators or illegal immigrants. Then where are those? We have asked for the data. Please provide that data. ECI gives you data, not us. So please provide us that data, or please urge the ECI to give us that data. And secondly,
it's on websites, it's everywhere.
The BJP, I did not interject, Zaka. Please prevent that. Now, the BJP spokesperson also says that the Congress should welcome their move because we deported so many. So we are asking, how many did you deport? Merely 2,500, contrary to our 90,000. Where is your action?
So what's the problem with SIR?
Citing hatred. Why are you just polarizing the population of this country? Rather than of accusing the Congress of appeasement and of appeasement.
It's the same thing.
Because we are the ones who deported immigrants, not you. 90,000 versus 2,500. Where is
I would want to now move to the second part of this debate. Shazia will continue to stay on with us. This is regarding the protest that happened over the weekend here in the national capital. It was seemingly a protest that was meant to be against rising pollution levels in the national capital, but it took a completely offhand turn, a completely dramatic turn, where in a protest around pollution, protesters there showed up with posters in support of slain Naxal commander Madhvi Hidma. In fact, he was killed recently in an encounter with the Andhra Pradesh police. In fact, the Special Operations Group, the special police force that is meant for anti-Naxal operations on the border between Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. These posters were glorifying Madhvi Hidma, the Naxal commander. These posters were held up. There were slogans that were raised eulogizing him, saying Madhvi Hidma Amar Rahe, meaning long live Madhvi Hidma. These pro-Naxal slogans were raised at this protest site, which was right in the heart of the national capital in India Gate. Protest slogans like long live Madhvi Hidma, comrade Hidma Amar Rahe, how many Hidmas will you kill, kitne Hidma maroge? a Hidma will emerge from every single house. Birsa Munda ke baad Madhvi Hidma hai. The struggle for forests will go on, so on and so forth. Now, almost making him out to be some kind of a hero figure, when the fact of the matter is he was singularly responsible for the killing of a number of not just security personnel but also political operatives, politicians, including a former chief minister in the state of Chhattisgarh. I want to listen into some of these political bites and then we'll go across to our guests.
हिडमा एक आदिवासी व्यक्ति हैं जिन्होंने अपने हक के लिए हथियार उठाए थे. नाउ पीपल कैन डिसएग्री विद दैट मेथड. वो कह सकते हैं कि ये तरीका गलत है, लेकिन वो यह नहीं कह सकते कि जिस कारण से आदिवासियों को हथियार उठाने पड़ रहे हैं अपने हक के लिए लड़ने के लिए, वो गलत है. कॉर्पोरेटाइजेशन के खिलाफ जो लड़ाई है वो लड़ाई आदिवासियों की है, वो जल जंगल ज़मीन की लड़ाई है और उसके हक में नारे लगाना को एंटी नेशनल नहीं कहा जा सकता और उसके लिए इस टाइप की रिप्रेशन लोगों पे नहीं की जा सकती.
इसी में हमने इसमें एफआईआर रजिस्टर की है और इसकी गहनता से जांच निश्चित ही की जाएगी.
सर, क्या उन्हें डिटेन कर रखा है स्टूडेंट्स को कोर्ट में?
हाँ, अभी हम इसमें कानूनी कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं.
I want to go across to Sanjay Jha and Shazia Ilmi. Sanjay Jha, I mean, how can anyone in a democracy justify a cold-blooded killer like Madhvi Hidma and say that there was nothing wrong with what he did? Madhvi Hidma, Amar Rahe, so on and so forth. This is the man who butchered 76 CRPF personnel in Sukma. This is the same man who butchered a large number of Congress workers, including a former chief minister in Chhattisgarh. And he's being held out to be some kind of Che Guevara, if not Mahatma Gandhi kind of figure.
Good evening to you, Zaka, and to my BJP friend Shazia Ilmi. Let me address this in a serious fashion. I don't think we should allow this to become BJP's popular narrative. Firstly, the protest was on air pollution. Now, there are going to be elements there which may have their own ideological leanings, but that does not take away from the fact that some protesters were probably having a bigger political statement to make. But the larger statement was for the people of Delhi. I mean, therefore, I think the BJP is doing exactly what it did, I remember, Zaka, during the time of the farmers' protest. There may have been elements at that point of time who took a very negative stance, but to brand every farmer as a Khalistani, as a militant, as a terrorist was awful. And you had eventually Modi government apologize and withdraw the bills. So the larger issue is today, Zaka, and I need to present a couple of facts before Shazia comes in. You have an AQI in Delhi, which is very poor. I live in Mumbai, by the way, which is poor. Mumbai is not good either. AQI is a problem for all of us as citizens of this country. The second point, you have around 83 of the world's top 100 cities, polluted cities are in India. Can we run away from that reality?
No, but Sanjay, all of that is a reality. But how does putting slogans of Madhvi Hidma, Amar Rahe and eulogizing a cold-blooded killer help solve the pollution problem?
Well, I'm just going to say that in any protest, there are going to be people who are going to participate. It's a public protest. I don't think people are screening who's coming and who's going to say what. And these are public, kind of staged demonstrations being held in public, peacefully, I would say. The larger point is there are people who are probably what you would call as Marxist or Naxalites who have sympathy for him. And I'm not endorsing that under any count. Okay. It's a violent man. But I'm making a statement that there are people who will say, and I heard a lady talk on your show, because a lot of people believe that, end of day deforestation, the destruction of greenery in this country under Modi has been astronomical. So they're making a political statement and they have a right to
Shazia Ilmi, it's a political statement. Protest, all kinds of people will come. You can't blame the public who came there and protested on a legitimate issue, which is rising pollution. There will be some kind of, these extreme characters who will protest there. You can't blame them. That's Sanjay Jha's contention. Shazia.
Zaka, I'm shocked and aghast at the way a very sinister campaign is being diluted, is being normalized, is being whitewashed. Here we have a bunch of young people, and I don't know where they've got this indoctrination from, who apparently, according to Sanjay Ji, are very peaceful, but they're peacefully espousing the cause of violence. And they're speaking for somebody who has led, deadliest ambushes on India's security forces. CRPF, Jawans in Dantewada, Bastar, you mentioned Sukma. We all remember those. You remember reading them, and you remember the families who've been there, mourning the losses of of the sons and husbands. So I don't know what kind of ideological warp has taken place in their minds, and I'm very worried when I see this. I mean, look at them. They have such good reasons to justify a man like Sukma. So I don't know whether it's about BJP or not, but this is some kind of madness that's going on. And no amount of whatever might be happening, I don't know about deforestation or corporatization or new words that are being given, which have always been there. I mean, I went to a film school, which was as leftists could be. So how can it justify killing people, killing Jawans? So I don't know. I think we should really refrain right now from, I mean, it's one thing you don't like your government, you don't like Modi, but you're going to justify, dilute, whitewash, and normalize criminal action to the kind murder. I mean, this is complete incitement to murder and kill.
Sanjay, the police's version
find it
is that
shocking,
22 people amongst these protesters were detained by the police. Some of them were produced in court today and remanded to further custody. The police's version is that the protesters refused to move to Jantar Mantar, and anybody who's been to Delhi knows that the only allowed protest site in the central part of Delhi is in Jantar Mantar. The protesters apparently clashed with the police. The posters of this Naxal Madhvi Hidma were spotted at the protest. The police have also claimed that some of these protesters used pepper and chili spray on these police personnel, and 22 people were arrested for the attack on the police. So the cops are claiming that they were the ones who were attacked with pepper spray and chili powder and so on and so forth. And add to that, they were eulogizing this violent man.
Well, Zaka, here is the truth, right? So there is a confession. Now you have a number. That's exactly what I started this program with. 22 people was not the entire crowd of people protesting, which was into thousands. And Shazia, you have to address the problem. The problem with the BJP is that you are not going to tell the people of India that as per reports and official reports, 2 million people died on account of air pollution in this country. Can you imagine? And these are normally
Why are you
poor
deflecting?
people.
Why are you
Let
deflecting?
me
So that is the
finish.
reason
Let me
why-
finish.
No, that's
Let
the
me
reason why
finish.
you
We're
are-
having a civilized
because CRP
discourse.
person-
Shazia, I don't like this.
Shazia, one second. Let him finish. I'll come back to you
Calm
once
down,
he makes his
Calm
point.
down.
Calm
confuse
down.
others.
The truth is, you have 2
But
million people.
Sanjay, you also need to acknowledge that this is a problem. You cannot normalize or justify, or the words that she used, whitewash a criminal like Madhvi Hidma saying, oh, you can argue, you can have an argument around his means, but you can't justify his cause. Come on.
Well, let me tell you that I remember the Congress party when it was in power under UPA 1 and 2, and Dr. Manmohan Singh had talked about the internal threat from Maoists. So I don't think we need to revisit that road. The problem here is different. The problem is that the BJP brands everybody. Forget these people who may be supporting the slain leader who had assassinated and brutalized many of our own soldiers.
Slain terrorists.
I'm saying the BJP calls
terrorists.
anybody who argues with them as urban Naxals. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister
But
of
they
India,
are- what
calls
else is
dissenters
urban
urban Naxals. That is
But
the
what
tragedy
else
of the BJP. That is the reality of the BJP. They will never tell you
Sanjay
how many
ji,
people are
that's a
dying
problem.
because of
You see,
pollution.
that's a
Why is our
problem.
environmental ranking one of
Sha-
the worst in the world? They
That's
never tell
it.
you.
Shazia, you are also, the Sanjay's contention is there were thousands of people who were protesting for pollution, which is a legitimate reason that they should be protesting against. 22 people of that got detained because they were raising slogans for a violent man, a criminal like Madhvi Hidma, who got arrested, who got detained, and who got produced in court, and rightfully so. But you are missing the tree for the woods is his case. He is saying that you are conveniently ignoring the larger problem.
No, in
it's
fact, I
happening
think,
under your
Sanjay ji, you are ignoring the larger problem. You are, instead of looking at what is happening right in front of you, what's happening in your country, in my country, in our country, you're making it everything about Modi and about your visceral hatred for the government and its leader. You are not looking at what's happening at the youth over there. The kind of the crazy metamorphosis of this hatred and what shape it's taking and how it's impacting our youth and us. I think this
That's
is a very
your
dangerous sign.
incompetence and
And
your
as for you,
failure.
I was part of the Anna Hazare movement. I was detained because I was speaking against corruption, which your party was in power for no rhyme or reason. So I know all about protests and how it's done. This is
So
very
then
scary.
why have you turned your colors?
Okay.
Shazia?
Should
Oh.
condemn this.
Okay.
You and I together.
We'll have to leave it at that. Thank you very much, Shazia Elmi and Sanjay Jha. We'll see how this story plays out. Like I said, Out of these 22, I think about half a dozen or so were produced in court today. Some of them have been remanded for further custody. We'll see how this story plays out. I want to move on to the other big story of the day, a very tragic news indeed. Bollywood's He-Man is no more. Dharmendra breathed his last today after battling age-related ailments just a few weeks shy of his 90th birthday. A towering figure on the silver screen, celebrated for his action-packed roles. The world remembers Dharampaji for his charismatic presence on screen, his versatility when it comes to various roles. Over a career that spanned 6 decades, Dharmendra delivered iconic performances one after another. Here's a quick look back at his life, his films, the awards, and some of the few unforgettable moments that he left behind for all of us.
In 1958, after winning the Filmfare Talent Hunt, a young man from Kapurthala, Punjab, left for Mumbai to try his luck in the movies. Little did anyone know that a young Dharmendra Singh Deol's affair with showbiz would last over 50 years. Had Nargis and Sunil Dutt not selected Dharmendra's picture from thousands of aspirants on the talent hunt, the young hopeful may never have mustered the courage to make the journey.
माँ ही होती है जिसके पास आप जाके कह सकते हैं मुझे ये करना है. My father was totally against. He never wanted me to be in films at all. वो तो बहुत ही अपसेट थे, लेकिन ये फिल्म फेयर ने मुझे नहीं बुलाता तो शायद मैं नहीं आ पाता. So I am really lucky.
Growing up in Sahnewal in Punjab, Dharmendra was drawn to showbiz through the films that he saw at the local theatre. Although Bimal Roy signed on Dharmendra for his film Bandini, the actor's first release was Dil Bhi Tera Hum Bhi Tere, directed by Arjun Hingorani in 1960. The early 60s saw Dharmendra in mostly heroine-oriented films like Surat Aur Seerat, Anpad and Bandini. The actor's breakout performance came as Shaka in Phool Aur Patthar opposite Meena Kumari. And the scene in which Dharmendra takes off his shirt became one of the highlights of the film. 1970 saw the release of Tum Hasi Main Jawan, in which Dharmendra featured opposite a relatively new actress, Hema Malini. The two went on to become one of Hindi cinema's most endearing couples, both on screen and off it. Through most of the 70s, film glossies had a field day speculating on the romance between a married Dharmendra and the dream girl Hema Malini. On location while shooting for Sholay, it is said that Dharmendra made sure that their romantic scenes took several takes before being finally okayed. Dharmendra and Hema Malini finally tied the knot in an Iyengar ceremony in May 1980.
I'm so happy it all happened long back and finished over. It is. If it was here now, my God, they would have been running behind me with the camera everywhere. In those days, some of the writers used to be after me all the time.
शराबी वाला सीन बहुत अच्छा होगा. उसमें मैंने खुद ऐड कर देता हूँ कुछ लफ्ज़, कहीं डायलॉग्स एक आध अपनी तरफ से भी लगा देता था. अब जैसे मौसी जी, अब जी उसमें थोड़ी लिखा होता है. अभी कैरेक्टर मस्का मार रहा है मौसी को, मैं मौसी जी मैं आ रहा हूँ, तो वो जी लगाने से उसमें दुगना ड्रामा हो जाता है.
Sholay, of course, went on to create box office history, and one of the film's strengths was the chemistry shared by Jay and Veeru both on screen and off it. Dharmendra and Amitabh Bachchan also featured in two other popular hits, Chupke Chupke and Ram Balram. Dharmendra revealed his impeccable flair for comedy in Chupke Chupke, directed by Rishikesh Mukherjee. The 80s saw Dharmendra reinvent himself as an action hero. While the press created tags like He-Man and Garam Dharam to suit the actor's gun-wielding, vengeance-spewing image, to the actor's credit, he was equally at ease playing comic roles in films like Naukar Biwi Ka. In the 90s, Dharmendra continued to act, playing the lead and supporting roles in several films. And in 1997, the actor received the Filmfare Lifetime Achievement Award from his idol, Dilip Kumar.
तुमने मुझे नहीं जताया तो यहाँ पानी की टंकी बनाऊंगा और आपसे आपसे फिर मनवाऊंगा कि मौसी, मेरी मौसी मुझे वोट दे दो.
In 2004, in a surprise move, a 69-year-old Dharmendra entered politics, elected as a member of parliament on a BJP ticket from Bikaner, Rajasthan. Over the years, Dharmendra turned into a successful producer as well and supervised the launch of his sons Sunny and Bobby Deol and nephew Abhay Deol, adapting himself to the ever-changing demands of the audience that he has been catering to for the last 5 decades. Age hasn't deterred the actor. Dharmendra continues to entertain his fans just the way he has for the last 50 years.
बार बार कह चुका हूँ, ये मेरी बिलव्ड है, ये मेरा पेशा नहीं है. ये रूठ जाती है, मैं मना लेता हूँ, मैं रूठ जाता हूँ, ये मना लेती है, लेकिन छोड़ा नहीं हमने एक दूसरे को. तो कुछ ना कुछ करता रहूँगा बिकॉज आई लव, मैं कहा ना, वांट टू बी लव, टू बी लाइक, टू बी एडमायर्ड, सो नथिंग लाइक शो बिजनेस. तो कुछ ना कुछ ढूंढता रहूँगा. ऐसी कोई तृष्णा तो नहीं, बस यही है कि मैं अच्छी कहानियाँ मिलती रहें, साल में एक पिक्चर देता रहूँ.
The legendary Dharmendra, of course, one half of the very famous couple Jay and Viru of Sholay, which was arguably the most successful Indian film ever made back in 1975. In fact, this year, Sholay completes 50 years at the box office, and I believe sometime in the next few weeks, there's also going to be a theatrical release once again of one of India's most iconic films. Like I said, Dharmendra was 89 years old, just a few days shy of his 90th birthday. Today at the crematorium, the who's who of Bollywood, from Amitabh Bachchan, who was his co-star in Sholay, Abhishek Bachchan, his son, Akshay Kumar, Salman Khan, the who's who of the Hindi film industry were all there paying their last respects for a man who is a legend in his own right. He's right up there with the biggest stars that Indian cinema has ever produced, and he will always be remembered in the pantheons of Hindi film industry as one of the legendary superstars, right up there with the very, very biggest names that have sort of graced the silver screen. People, of course, remember him for Sholay. That, of course, is one of the most iconic movies that he was part of. But he has been part of 300 films, working well into his 80s, including the recent Karan Johar hit from a few years ago, Rocky Aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani, where he made a comeback at the ripe old age of 85 plus, and he continued to mesmerize audiences. As you heard in that interview snippet that we played a moment ago, he was someone who said that he would never retire from films because that was his first and only love. I want to go across to somebody very, very special, the man who cast Dharmendra as Viru in the iconic jodi that is Jay and Viru. Mr. Ramesh Sippy is now joining us, the iconic filmmaker behind Sholay and a number of other films. Thank you very much, Mr. Sippy, for joining us. Of course, like I said, everyone remembers Dharmendra for his most iconic role as Viru, one half of the iconic jodi of Jay and Viru in Sholay. But tell me, I believe that when you first went to him with that character, he was not very forthcoming, or he was not very keen to do the character of Viru. How did you manage to convince him?
Actually, the truth is, he did like his role, but he was, when he heard the script as narrated to him, he felt that, oh, but the story belongs to Sanjeev Kumar, so maybe I should play Sanjeev Kumar. So I said, you want to play Sanjeev Kumar with a shawl and no hands?
Yeah.
So he didn't say anything, but it probably registered with him a bit. And then he said, and Amjad is such a colorful character. Gabbar. I mean, Gabbar is such a colorful character. I played hero in many films. Why shouldn't I play a villain? So he wanted to play Gabbar. I said, yes, you can play Thakur, you can play Gabbar, but then you won't get Hema Malini.
Is that what clinched the deal?
Probably not, but probably so. But I would say that he realized that the right role for him was Gabbar, and yes, that he would get Hema Malini was also a bonus.
Tell me, Mississippi, he's also given interviews where he has said that he improvised a lot, especially with some of the dialogues, the iconic, water tank scene where he plays drunk and so on. Tell us a little bit more about that.
See, some actors, they don't like to be bound by lines. But Sharif Javed wrote a wonderful script, and we worked hard on the scenes. Every actor had his bit and his way. But what was important, and it happened, that they heard their scenes, they heard their role and what I felt about the way they should go about it. They made it their own, and they came out with the character inside them, which they projected finally as their own. And I think each of them just kept improving as we were making the film.
Mm-hmm.
And just everything came out beautifully.
What about the chemistry between the two characters, Jay and Viru, Mr. Bachchan and Mr. Dharmendra? Was it spontaneous? Did it happen on the set? Because they were also at different sort of career points when Sholay happened.
That's true. I think it happened naturally. Every actor thinks about himself also.
Mm-hmm.
Thinks of the film, thinks of himself as an actor, how he would stand against the other, so that at the end of the film, his role stands out as much as the other, if not his own, a little more than the others.
Mm-hmm.
That is how an actor does and should feel, because they have to do their best. He was definitely like that, but he absorbed the overall script, he absorbed the character, and did not try to take away the scene, gave enough of himself that his presence was strongly felt, and added something of his own, which a good actor should always do. And I think the reason why Sholay is such a wonderful character sketch as well for each one. I mean, they come out alive, all of them, and each in his own way, whether it was the yap of Hema Malini or Dharamji's colorful, or the silent Amitabh and silent Jaya. I mean, they all came through in a very, very nice way.
All right.
So,
all right, Mr. Sippy, thank you very much for joining us with your thoughts and your memories of someone who you've fondly adored and looked up to and worked with very closely over the years. Thank you very much. His fans, his legions of fans, join you and everyone else from the industry in condoling the passing away of a true legend in Indian cinema. Finally, some international stories that we're tracking. It's a big week as far as the Ukraine war is concerned. Trump has now set a deadline of Thanksgiving, which is this Thursday, for Ukraine to agree to his 28-point peace plan. The problem is, if they do, then Ukraine will basically have to give up its entire eastern region, which is the Donbass. It will also have to substantially reduce its army. All of this will only further embolden Russia. I decode a little more. Ukrainian and American officials say that they had made good progress over the weekend in talks about a contentious American plan to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. This even as US President Donald Trump has lashed out at Ukraine and its President Volodymyr Zelensky, saying they were thankless for the support that America has given over the years. Trump has set a deadline of Thursday, which is Thanksgiving Day in America, for Ukraine to agree to his 28-point peace plan. But many Ukrainians, including their President Zelensky, has dismissed the plan as capitulation to Russia because it accedes to long-standing demands made by Moscow, something which Ukraine has been loath to accepting in these last 3 years of the war. The plan would basically need Ukraine to give up substantial amounts of its territory and reduce the size of its standing army, both of which make it vulnerable to more aggression by Moscow.
No, not my fault. No, we'd like to get the peace. It should have happened a long time ago. The Ukraine war with Russia should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended. One way or the other, we have to get it ended. So
the talks, which began in Geneva on Sunday, were cast as an effort to bridge the gaps between the Russian and Ukrainian positions. At one point in the talks, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio briefly ducked out of the meetings and he told reporters that the discussions had been very productive. Rubio said that the American and Ukrainian teams were working through this peace plan put forth by President Trump point by point, and they were making adjustments. He also said that both sides were narrowing their differences and they were getting closer to something that both Kyiv and Moscow would be comfortable with. But there was also confusion over the plan itself, with many even within the administration saying that it seemed to reflect a lot of Kremlin's talking points, not so much that of Ukraine.
We arrived here today with one goal, and the goal was to take, is 28 points or 26 points, depending on which version as it continued to evolve, and try to narrow the ones that were open items. And we have achieved that today in a very substantial way. But work remains, and because this continues to be a working process, I don't want to declare victory or finality here. There's still some work to be done.
Rubio signed off from the peace talks by saying that he was very optimistic that a peace plan could be reached in a very reasonable amount of time. While there was still a couple of issues that needed to be worked on, Rubio said that those items remain open and they're not insurmountable. He also made it seem like the negotiators just needed a little more time. He declined to go into the specifics of what exact points were sticking between the American and Ukrainian negotiators or what he was referring to, but he also noted that obviously the Russians would get a vote on this plan and they will have to agree to the plan if it has to be implemented. The cautiously optimistic remarks came despite a lengthy rant that President Trump posted on social media criticizing Ukraine. Trump lashed out at both Ukraine and its European partners, saying that they were thankless to America. Ukrainian leadership has expressed zero gratitude for American efforts, Trump wrote on Truth Social, and also that Europe continues to buy oil from Russia, thereby helping fund Putin's war effort. He also again appeared to blame Ukraine for Russia's full-scale invasion, saying that the war would have never happened had there been strong and proper Ukrainian leadership.
Yes, I had pretty close. How are you, Mr. President?
He's all dressed up today.
Now, this is not the first time that the American president has accused Ukraine of insufficient gratitude.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
Or of being solely responsible for the war which Russia started. During a disastrous meeting with Zelensky at the White House back in February, Trump told the Ukrainian leader that he was not doing enough to thank America for its support. Since then, Zelensky, as well as his other European partners, have gone out of their way to express their thanks to Trump.
Disrespectful to the country, this country.
Zelensky did so again this weekend in a series of statements not long after Trump's social media rants. Zelensky welcomed the substantive conversations happening in Geneva, and he appeared to respond to Donald Trump's latest accusations. But whether or not he will be able to seal this deal through, much of which would be outright Ukrainian surrender to Russia, still remains to be seen.
Важливо, що розмова з американськими представниками є, і є сигнали, що команда президента Трампа чує нас.
Ukraine's European allies, some of whom have sent representatives to Geneva to take part in these discussions, have been racing against time to respond to Trump's plan. They want to demonstrate their continued support for Kyiv, even though they don't fully support the 28-point peace plan. A joint statement was also put out on Saturday, signed by the leaders of Britain, France and Germany, saying that the American proposal was only a starting point for the discussions and that there would be additional work if both sides have to meet and find a common ground. While Trump has said that he wants Ukraine's response on the 28-point peace plan by Thursday, which is Thanksgiving Day in America, he has left open the possibility that the deadline could be extended if things are working well. A draft of the US peace proposal that was posted online last week contained many conditions which Ukraine has long rejected as unacceptable. This includes surrendering a large part of its eastern areas, the Donbass region, which Russia has long sought after, also slashing the Ukrainian army's size substantially. There was also confusion over who was the author of this plan exactly. At one point, a number of US senators said that Secretary Rubio had told them that the State Department had nothing to do with this plan. Both the department and Mr. Rubio went on to deny those claims. But the ball is now firmly in Zelensky's court and in the court of the Ukrainians, whether or not they will be able to swallow this deal at all. If they cannot, then they have the wrath of Trump to deal with. And if they do, then they are forever surrendering to Putin.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Colleagues Yasha and Tavishi are keeping an eye as the fans of Dharmendra are getting ready to bid him a final goodbye. Tavishi, like we just told our viewers that there are many Dharmendra fans who are still waiting to hear from the family, but it is now increasingly emerging that their worst fears could be coming true.
Yes, Arunima, it's almost certain with some senior people from the film industry as well putting out their last respects and obituaries for Dharmendra ji. It's really, if it is true, it really is an end of an era. However, we are still awaiting, and as we speak this, and as it's slowly, getting almost confirmed, but we are still awaiting some particular news and some official statement, either from the doctors, the medical fraternity, or who were looking after Dharmendra ji, or of course the family. Like Yesha pointed out earlier, even the close associates, the PR managers, the PRs or the managers are also, the team has not been kept too much in loop. Maybe it's privacy, and of course we need to respect that the family is very, very strictly guarding. They still are yet to confirm anything. Once we get any kind of confirmation, it's only then that we will formally be able to say something. But yes, it's getting clearer slowly, and unfortunately that our worst fears just may be coming true.
Right. So like my colleagues are saying, we are waiting for an official word from the family, but more and more members of the fraternity, Karan Johar, for example, has come out and paid his last respect to Dharmendra, the icon. Amitabh Bachchan, Abhishek Bachchan, Amir Khan, they're all there at the cremation ground. So even though the final word from the family is awaited, there are more and more indication that the worst fears of the fans might be coming true. Yasha Kotak and Mayuresh are also keeping an eye on what's really happening there. Yasha, just talk us through, is there any sense that you're getting from the Pawan Hans cremation ground about what really is the protocol, what is the SOP that they are going to follow if they have to put out an official statement?
So when it comes to the authorities at Pawan Hans, of course, when we see that the family members have reached here, it has been made obvious by various authorities, be it the authorities at Pawan Hans or for that matter, be the police officials present outside. All of them have gone further to just to state that any kind of a statement being issued would be issued by the family itself.
yes, of course, what is come to forth is that, like Tavishi has also been pinpointing that when it comes to the speculation that is going around, of course, there's no confirmation from the family members.
Yasha, just give me a moment. Raj Babbar, senior actor from the film industry, is also with us on the broadcast. Mr. Raj Babbar, fans are still awaiting an official word, but many indications that their worst fear must be coming true.
It's a very sad news. We were just praying since so many days he should get well soon. But God has taken from us. But Dharamji's good deeds will always be there with all of us. He helped so many people, and so much. I started my career the first day in Mumbai. I met Dharamji, and continuously his blessings, his guidance was always there. I worked with him in so many films, also his home productions, almost whatever the production they made, I was working that. Like a family to me. It's sad I'm just not able to reach there. I'm at the airport. But we will miss his blessing always. यहाँ तक कि उन्होंने तो मेरे बेटी के प्ले में भी काम किया है, सैयारा में. So as such a great human being, always helpful.
Mr. Babbar, our condolence. I mean, this must be a tough time for all the loved ones. Vivek Agnihotri is also joining us at this moment. Mr. Agnihotri, it's a tough time for all those who are family, friends, people who have loved and adored Dharmendra. What is the families? I mean, because we have not heard officially, have you managed to pay your last respect, your condolence to the Deol family?
No, in fact, I am not in India and it's midnight where I am. I just got to know through CNN. I had no idea. And actually, Dharmendra, what can I tell you? Everybody knows about his acting, the legendary actor, the star, one of the most charismatic stars. He played the longest innings in film industry, known for his heart and mind. But what I love about him, I developed a small relationship with him because he, in his last days, he became
Viewers, you can pay for education, but that doesn't guarantee that the education that you pay for will make you wiser or more knowledgeable. And that has been proven today, viewers, in the most graphic fashion. Focus to the right of your screens tonight. I never imagined we'd reach a point where a protest on pollution in the national capital was hijacked and turned into an open celebration of a dreaded Maoist terrorist. Yes, a group of ultra-left university students gathered at the Sea Hexagon near India Gate, just touching distance of the Amar Jawan Jyoti, viewers. But instead of adding their voice to a campaign against pollution, they started chanting slogans, praising the de facto Osama bin Laden of terrorist viewers in this country, a person called Hidma, Madhvi Hidma, who was killed in an encounter about 10 days ago, or within the last 10 days, viewers. A man with a 1 crore bounty on his head, a man who is responsible for the murder of not just more than 100 security personnel, but also pretty much the entire top leadership of the Congress party about 10 to 12 years ago, viewers. Viewers, this is free speech, where students come out and say, Madhvi Hidma Amar Rahe. The struggle of our forests and environment will go on if people like Hidma are alive and kicking, viewers. Listen to this.
हिडमा एक आदिवासी व्यक्ति हैं जिन्होंने अपने हक के लिए हथियार उठाए थे. नाउ पीपल कैन डिसएग्री विद दैट मेथड. वो कह सकते हैं कि ये तरीका गलत है, लेकिन वो यह नहीं कह सकते कि जिस कारण से आदिवासियों को हथियार उठाने पड़ रहे हैं अपने हक के लिए लड़ने के लिए, वो गलत है. जल जंगल जमीन की लड़ाई के लिए नारे लगना एनवायरनमेंट से बहुत ही क्लोजली कनेक्टेड है. ये जल जंगल जमीन की जो लड़ाई है, जो कॉमन मासेस की लड़ाई है, और साथ में जो इस टॉक्सिक एयर के खिलाफ वो लड़ाई इंट्रिकेटली जुड़ी हुई है. ये बहुत जुड़ी हुई लड़ाई है.
Viewers, just listen to these. Listen to this slogan. Pay attention. And now look at these posters, viewers. All eulogizing a Maoist territory. In case you have forgotten, let me remind you that Hidma is the man who led some of the deadliest attacks on our soldiers in the Red Corridor. A man with a 1 crore bounty on his head, involved in at least 27 armed operations against the Indian state, in which hundreds of Indian Jawans were martyred. India's most wanted Maoist commander. He was the chief of the CPI Maoist Deadliest Strike Unit, one of the youngest in the Maoist Central Panel. Mastermind behind major ambushes in Bastar, key plotter of the Jiriram Valley and Sukma attacks, known for brutal tactics. I mean, viewers,